Milo Yiannopoulos' Dangerous Faggot Tour appearance on May 24th at DePaul University was shut down by a couple of racist blacks. One of them was Edward Ward, an alumnus of DePaul University who, after graduating with a useless degree, is now a community organizer and youth minister at a church in Chicago. Evidently, he is a progressive who aspires to follow in the footsteps of President Barack Obama. Like America could survive another one of those. As should be obvious by now, the progressive answer to disagreement is not facts but feelings, not intelligence but incoherence, not argument but aggression. After taking the stage, the progressive thug Mr. Ward paced back and forth like a threatening bully, sometimes blowing on a whistle and once threatening to beat Milo. While progressives on the right attack nations, progressives on the left attack people. That's what Mr. Ward did. We call progressives on the right neoconservatives. But what are we to call them on the left? Neoliberals? I don't know. Regardless, they're all thugs and bullies who rely on threats, intimidation, force, and violence to get their way. Speaking as an American Indian man who has actually experienced racism, from bullying and beatings to snubs and put-downs and diminished education and employment opportunities, it seems clear to me that the thugs who put on the shamefully childish display at DePaul know nothing about real racism. This was demonstrated by the fact that when Katie Danforth scolded their shameful behavior, they accused her of being a white supremacist. Katie Danforth is a black woman. Were he alive, I have no doubt that these sad buffoons would call Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a white supremacist too. Nor are they alone. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of American blacks who have fallen far from the grace that marked Dr. King's sermons. They've jumped down into the gutter of perma-victim status from which they can never rise by any means other than through blaming and shaming white men into becoming their virtual slaves. They are pathetic and sad, and we could pity them but for the fact that they interfere and threaten the lives of those who have done them no harm, and that makes them thugs whose criminal behavior we ought not to tolerate but should at the very least shame, and we should absolutely not allow our taxes to support their hate. Dr. King was a man, a real man, and when I was a child he inspired millions of people around the world and in America to rise above the racism of the past. Following his murder, his resonant voice was replaced by vulgar whiners who, to this day, seek to drag everybody back down into the muck, mud, blood, and savagery that characterized all nations throughout history. They seek not to liberate, but to dominate, not to raise up, but to tear down, not to create, but to destroy. They are a disease infecting the hearts and minds of children with lies that leave them lacking in substance and able only to think and act like brats. So why do we allow them to pass on this foul legacy? The greatest strength of Western culture is our willingness to entertain contrary opinions and to tolerate those who question. This great strength empowered those who went on to create our greatest inventions and institutions. But as is so often the case, our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. For our tolerance has allowed the intolerant progressives to take over nearly every institution of learning where they have turned education into indoctrination, and that of the very worst kind. Has the time come for us to make the educational institutions less free? No. It's time for baby boomers by the millions to join advocates like Milo Yiannopoulos, Christina Hoff Sommers, and Casey Johnson to bring pressure to bear on the educators. College students are prisoners of their need to follow the dictates of their teachers, instructors, and professors to make the grades and earn the degrees that, for those who do not major in worthless things, will get them good jobs. So that leaves it to the boomers and Gen Xers. We need to pressure educators to end the domination of the progressives, stop preaching poison, and go back to teaching subjects that have value, like Western values. Those who resist or refuse should be cut off from government funding and government-backed student loans and boycotted by employers and students. No more Sally Mae. And remember what Otis and Milo say. All lives matter, even pug lives. For the Backlash at Backlash.com, my name is Rod Van Mecklin.